David Regensberger considers himself a risk-averse investor, but after switching to Opes Prime stockbroking 3 months ago, he could now lose more than $250,000.
It was pretty tough when I had to break the news to my wife, and in some way, I feel a little bit guilty about that. Although we sort of made decisions together in some way, my wife wanted to put some money in as cash instead of with just all shares.
David Regensberger invested $320,000 through Opes Prime and took out a $100,000 margin loan. But now his portfolio is frozen because ANZ is asserting legal ownership over the stocks to recoup loans it made to Opes.
And that's the frustrating thing, the fact that there's $320,000 there that I don't see belongs to anyone but me. I pay back the margin loan, and how can ANZ sort of take that money? It's frustrating in a way, very frustrating.
He hoped to build the family's wealth and eventually buy a bigger home for his wife and 2 young children. But neither the application form he completed nor the Opes Prime Financial Services Guide revealed that the broker took beneficial ownership of his shares.
I guess what I didn't or was unaware of was that they themselves were borrowing against those shares. Had I known that, perhaps would have made me sit and think, well, hang on, there's another risk here that I'm not a part of that could affect me down the track.
He switched to Opes Prime because it charged lower fees and had better research tools than his previous broker, and he was just a week away from moving to another broker when Opes Prime collapsed.
I had dabbled in buying and selling shares for the last 10 years, and purely just dabbling as, I guess, a mum and dad investor, your Telstras, your BHPs. There was under no sort of misapprehension of making massive returns and buying Interact. There was certainly none of that.
Mr. Regensberger thought that Opes Prime was investing in top 200 companies, but it's now emerged the firm was margin lending in stocks that many have never heard of. Among the companies affected by Opes Prime's demise are the digital services provider Hyro Limited, the mobile phone marketer Comtel Corporation, the gaming machine maker eBet, and the junior miners Bannerman Resources, Conquest Mining and Blackham Resources. But David Regensberger says his biggest gripe is not with Opes Prime, but ANZ.
I have a greater desire to want to talk to ANZ and say, look, this is the impact that's having. From what I can read in the papers, there seems to be only a handful of accounts that were really problematic. Why are you affecting the lives of people like myself?
ANZ has sold more than a quarter of its $616 million in stocks connected to Opes, but the New South Wales Supreme Court has granted a temporary order to stop the bank selling 32 million shares in Perth's Jindal Metals.
Well, the banks are asserting they have full entitlement to sell those shares. Clearly there's a difference of opinion. The agreement that my client entered into with Opes says one thing. What Opes told my client was something different, and the court needs to sort that out.
It may only be a small win at this stage, but investors are trying to take whatever positives they can from a grim situation.
The Monday that I came home to break the news to my wife, she have a good friend that's got some cancer issues, and just really made me think, well, yes, we've lost a lot of money, but we've still got our health, we've still got 2 beautiful children.
4 other plaintiffs will also be hoping for some good news tomorrow. They'll return to the federal court in Melbourne and resume an application to stop ANZ's share sell-off.